A rather bizarre and unexpected sight awaited this researcher upon his return to an ongoing experiment with pigeons. Birds in cages started to perform dance-like looking moves on constant repeat. You wouldn't have ever guessed, but this very oddly looking experiment gave us a deep insight into the inner workings of the human mind. It powerfully demonstrates how superstitions and beliefs are being formed in our head. But let's start at the beginning. Researcher here is your best friend Skinner. The first B in his name stands for Burrhus, which is a name I have never heard before, but it sounds pretty cool, like a name of some demon in a fantasy book. And actually, our guy Burrhus had an almost demonical obsession with pigeons. This wasn't exactly a romantic relationship, I mind you. Skinner was no pioneer of animal rights. During World War II, he worked on a famous project, which was called, what else but a Project Pigeon. Goal of the project was to develop a pigeon-guided bombs. And it is actually even worse than it sounds. 3 trained pigeons were stuffed inside the bomb as the pilots, and they were steering the bomb towards the enemy target. I have a suspicion that they were one-time use only kind of pigeons, but I'm not sure. This technology has never seen combat use, as it was relatively soon outcompeted by more practical electronic guidance systems. But there were several demonstrations of pigeon-steered bombs, and they were successful. It actually did work. You see, Burrhus Skinner, despite his pigeon thing, was an extremely capable man. He was a pioneer of modern behaviorism, and he's even considered to be one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. And with a competition in that category, that's no small feat. But back to the exciting part. Animal abuse. To study behavior of pigeons, Mr. Skinner built a special kind of cage, which is still widely used in scientific research of animals to this day. It is called Skinner's box. I kinda like how he avoided calling it a cage. This shows that he was really worth something as a psychologist. To get a better idea how this device works, here's a video of Pigeon and Skinner's box. Well, that's one weird pigeon, but it will have to do. This box can be adjusted in various ways for all kinds of experiments. Basic idea is that there is a food dispenser attached to one of the walls of the box. Food dispensing is then activated by a lever which is inside of the box as well. Oh, and know the electrifiable grid. You know, for when the extra motivation is needed. So the first experiment of Skinner's would be to stuff pigeons in several boxes, and to see if they will figure out a way to get a food on their own. And I have good news for you. Most of them did learn how to use lever before dying out of hunger. Now we get back to the beginning of the video. For this experiment, Mr. Skinner removed the lever from the cage and attached the food dispenser to the automated mechanism. Now, food was being delivered automatically, on random intervals. This got pigeons to do something very interesting and unexpected. They started to perform a sort of a dance, or, better to say, a kind of a ritual. One pigeon was turning around counterclockwise in his cage. Another was swinging his body in a pendulum-like motion, left and right. The third pigeon was tossing himself upwards, like he was trying to lift an invisible object. Fourth was doing a sort of a fake pecking movement, stopping halfway towards the ground. This all sounds quite bizarre. However, this spectacle actually had a simple explanation. Whatever action the bird happened to be doing at the exact moment the food pellet came out of the dispenser, he tried to do more of it. Remember, the movement didn't have any effect on getting the pellet, but pigeons had associated their behavior with the appearance of the food. Interestingly, even when the repetition of the movement didn't yield any result, they didn't drop the efforts. Quite the contrary in fact, they tried even harder until eventually it worked out again, and each success was reinforcing the link of causation. Pigeons thought that it were their actions that were directly affecting the result. But we know that wasn't true, and the outcome wouldn't be any different even if the pigeons did no actions at all. This brings us to the big question. Are humans pigeons? I guess not. Although some make me wonder. But are humans like pigeons in this case? What would happen if we locked up few people in similarly set up cages? And don't worry, we would look up just those that we don't like. So, what do you think? Would they start dancing? You bet they would. How do we know this? Well, it's not like someone looked up a few people just to try this out. Okay, maybe someone did that. But this goes back with us. As far as to the ancient times when people used to perform rain dances, which was a ritual that was supposed to summon rain, and which is fairly similar to dancing pigeons in Skinner's box. We can just imagine how this dance originally came to be, but thanks to Skinner's experiment, we understand the formation of such a ritual. Perhaps one day someone did some silly moves and it rained the next day, so ever since, people of the tribe were trying to replicate this. We are not made to view things as independent from each other. When viewing two events, A and B, it is hard not to assume that A causes B. Our bias is to immediately establish connection between the two. And don't think that we are safe from false link of causation in modern times. We are far from it, in fact. Our lives are real true with it. Think of all the coins to be found in the fountains. Friday the 13th. Four-leaf clover or horseshoes somehow bringing good luck, or black cat passing the road bringing the opposite. Maybe you have a lucky pants to wear, or you crossed your fingers for someone hoping that in such a way you will affect events in that person's favor. The link between action and result is a pure fiction in these superstitions. And we often even know that it is, but that doesn't stop us. You don't really believe that by crossing your fingers you will truly help the things. Maybe even tribal people knew that the rain dance was but a long shot. Just as religious people don't really expect that their prayers will come true. So why do we keep indulging in all of this? For one, notice how simplistic superstitions are. They need to be very easy to apply in order for them to stick around. For example, just imagine that superstition would say that running a marathon once every week will bring you a good luck. Yeah, that one wouldn't be very popular. Certainly not as much as something so simple as just crossing your fingers. Evolutionary or logical explanation of this is that it's actually a good strategy to try uncertain things of this sort, but only as long as it doesn't cost you too much energy. There might be no connection between your body movements and food delivery, or dancing and rain. However, it is easy to just try it out, and there is a lot to lose if the relationship turns out to be valid, so why not to give it a shot? Additionally, this comes in pair with the pattern detecting mechanism our brain has evolved. This is something that gave us survival advantage, even despite the fact that it can be quite often wrong. For example, you can easily mistake a stick on the ground for a snake, which will briefly put your body in a alerted state, freezing your movement, and give a good laugh to everyone that happens to be around you at the moment. But why your brain does this is obvious. Simply the reverse, that is mistaking a snake for a stick, would be way too costly. It is better to be safe than to be sorry. However, our environment has changed from what we have originally evolved for. In times before civilization, pattern detection could be wrong, but mistakes were small and never all that far away from reality. In modern times, the world has become far more complicated. The same mechanism that served us really well in the past can now go way off the trail and cause a real mess. Like making a connection between something like the appearance of coronavirus and 5G towers. Which is ridiculous, because everybody knows that it's Elon Starlink that's spreading the coronavirus. Oh, and by the way, I hope that you're wearing a tinfoil hat while watching this video. As I said earlier, it's better to be safe than to be sorry, because only a tinfoil hat can protect you from mind-controlling waves emitted by your phone. And don't forget Bill Gates' microchips injected into everybody with supposed coronavirus vaccines. I put bits of tinfoil into every meal I eat to better protect myself from those. And dude, Illuminati, man, they are everywhere. They now have like these electrons with cameras, they can send them right into your house to spy on you through electric lines.